Welcome back to Bad Things in History, where things can only get better because we are the world. I'm asking you, sugar, would I lie to you? Our exploration of the 1980s has finally reached the middle of the decade. Big hair was in fashion, and so was extreme violence. Kidnappings, bombings, plane crashes, and murder were just a few of the terrible things that happened in 1984. Let's start with the spy who was kidnapped. The Lebanon Spy. William Francis Buckley was born in Medford, Massachusetts on May 30th, 1928. He joined the Army in 1947 and was a company commander during the Korean War. William was known for his bravery under fire. In one event, he captured a North Korean machine gun nest and was nearly killed doing so. He spent 2 years working for the Central Intelligence Agency from 1955 to 1957, but William rejoined the agency in 1965. His main mission was the creation of counterterrorism strategies to fight global terrorists. In October 1983, the U.S. Marine barracks in Beirut, Lebanon were destroyed by suicide bombers. The attack killed 307 people, and it also removed an entire network of intelligence agents. William Buckley was assigned as the new station chief of Beirut. It was his mission to rebuild the CIA's ability to operate in the country. On March 16, 1984, as he was leaving for work, William was confronted by members of Hezbollah. They were a Lebanese political group that also engaged in acts of terrorism. On this day, their mission was to kidnap William. He was taken to a cell and remained there, except when being tortured. Interrogators in Iran were supposedly used to help extract information from William. The torture continued for several months until June 3, 1985, when William Buckley died from a heart attack. The location of his remains was unknown for the next 6 years, but on December 27, 1991, everything left of William's body was found dumped on a road. It was returned to the United States and buried in Arlington National Cemetery. Meanwhile, the CIA determined that Imad Mughniyeh was responsible for the Beirut bombing as well as the kidnapping and torture of William Buckley. The CIA was supposedly responsible for Imad's assassination in February 2008. Severomorsk Disaster. During the Cold War, the Soviet Union built a massive stockpile of weapons and ammunition. Nearly 1/3 of it was lost in a single day. The town of Severomorsk was located near several important military installations. There were 2 air bases, a munitions depot, and a naval base. The nearby naval base also had nuclear submarines and nuclear weapons. When workers placed the munitions into storage, they packed the explosives too close to each other. On May 13, 1984, this caused a fire to start. Luckily for residents of the nearby town, the munitions did not explode. Attempts were made to extinguish the fires for the next several days. Finally, on May 17th, the government sent ordnance technicians into the depot to try and stop the unfolding disaster. While they worked to find a way to stop the fire, the munitions exploded. All 300 of the technicians sent into the fire were killed. For the next hour and a half, random explosions appeared all over the depot. People in the nearby town began running for their lives. They thought it was a nuclear accident and tried to evacuate. A Russian blog described how it looked. Women ran into the streets with children in their arms, many only half-dressed in housecoats and slippers, the men running henny-penny with them, certain of them in uniform, giving the scene a weird drama. People ran up the stairs that lead up the slopes of the hills. Someone fell, he was picked up and dragged. Cars jammed the routes out of town. The cars were packed, but despite this, they stopped to pick up children, which their mothers literally threw into the arms of strangers. Screams, cries, curses, all drowned out by the thunder and howl, black with an orange-purple mushroom top, growing to its full height in an instant, nodding toward the town, but afterwards it began to slowly settle in the direction of the tundra and the ocean. The people of the town survived the incident, but the Soviet Union lost 1/3 of its navy and more than half of its cruise missiles. If a nuclear explosion had taken place, the fallout from the explosion would have landed in Norway. The Father's Day Massacre. In the 1980s, Australia had a problem with biker gangs. Jock Ross immigrated from Scotland to Sydney, Australia. In 1968, he established the Australian chapter of the Comancheros Motorcycle Club. He was also extremely strict and forced the members of the club to carry out military drills. In 1983, Jock finally went too far. He became involved with the wife of another member of the gang. Under Comanchero laws, he was supposed to be punished, but Jock refused to submit to the laws that he had created. This split the Comanchero gang in two. The group that wanted to punish Jock left and started a new gang. Within a few weeks, they were officially the first Australian chapter of the Banditos motorcycle gang. Anthony Spencer led them. The two gangs started attacking each other around Christmas of 1983. By August 1984, Anthony and Jock decided to officially declare war on each other. Their next battle would receive a lot of attention. On September 2, 1984, a British motorcycle club was holding an event at a place called the Viking Tavern. It was supposed to be a family-friendly event, and there was also barbecue available. Jock arrived with 19 Comancheros. Not long after, Anthony showed up with 34 Banditos. At first, the two gangs just yelled at each other. Then a shotgun went off and they started attacking each other. The two gangs began firing rounds in every direction. Bystanders started screaming and running away. During the chaos, 6 gang members were killed. A 14-year-old girl was shot in the head by a stray bullet, and 28 bystanders were injured, with 20 of them requiring extended stays in the hospital. Over 100 police arrived with helicopters, but the fighting was already over. The gang members who survived disappeared. One of the police officers involved with the investigation later described what he saw. In the middle of it all, the pub staff were still selling beer. People actually sat in the hotel drinking while the war was going on outside. I will never forget the sight when I arrived that day. The car park was packed with leather-clad bikies, police, and ambulance officers treating the injured. One sergeant arrived with a young constable and commented, "Take a look at this, son, because you'll never see anything like it again." The aftermath of the gang war led to one of the largest trials in Australian history. 63 murder convictions were handed down, as well as 147 manslaughter convictions. Jock Ross was sentenced to life in prison for his role in the massacre. He was released in 1992. Anthony Spencer never stood trial. He was arrested but killed himself before seeing a judge. This event led to changes in gun laws, which made it illegal to own firearms without a license, but it didn't end gang violence. In 2007, more Comancheros defected to the Banditos, which triggered drive-by shootings and bombings. Brighton hotel bombing. The Irish Republican Army wanted the British government out of Northern Ireland. During the 1970s, they carried out a number of bombings and attacks to try and achieve that goal. In 1984, the conflict would reach its climax when an attempt was made on Margaret Thatcher's life. In October 1984, Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher and her Conservative Party were supposed to hold a conference at the Grand Hotel in Brighton. Patrick Magee was a member of the IRA. He knew when the conference would be and where the Prime Minister would be staying. In September, roughly a month before the event, Patrick checked into the hotel under a fake name. He put a bomb under the bathtub in a room 5 floors above where his target would be. He created a timer for the bomb made out of VCR parts and an egg timer. A little before 3 a.m. on October 12th, the bomb exploded. It caused a chimney to collapse, which fell through several floors and into the basement. Margaret Thatcher was sitting at her desk writing when the bomb exploded. Had she been in the bathroom, she would have been killed. Although the Prime Minister escaped injury, not everyone was as fortunate. 5 people were killed, and 34 more were seriously injured. 2 of them had to use wheelchairs for the rest of their lives. The IRA released a statement after the bombing that said, "Mrs. Thatcher will now realize that Britain cannot occupy our country and torture our prisoners and shoot our people in their own streets and get away with it. Today we were unlucky, but remember, we only have to be lucky once. You will have to be lucky always. Give Ireland peace, and there will be no more war." On July 24, 1985, police finally arrested Patrick Magee. He was found guilty and sentenced to 8 life sentences, but political circumstances would work in Patrick's favor. On April 10, 1998, the Good Friday Agreement was signed. This ended hostilities between the British government and the IRA. It also resulted in over 400 prisoners being freed. Patrick Magee was among them. He later said about his role in the bombing, "I deeply regret that anybody had to lose their lives, but at the time, did the Tory ruling class expect to remain immune from what their frontline troops were doing to us? The Sikh Massacre. India is made up of several ethnic and religious groups. Among them are the Sikhs, who strongly believe in the concept of welfare for all. They are often seen at the front line of disasters trying to help, and in one case, members of the religion assassinated a political leader. Indira Gandhi was first elected Prime Minister of India in 1966. She was the first and only female Prime Minister ever elected in the country. She was also extremely powerful, serving in the position for 11 years. She was known for being extremely militant. She fought a war with China during which India repelled an invasion of the Himalayas. She also went to war with Pakistan, and she signed agreements with the Soviet Union. In June 1984, she ordered the military to remove Sikhs from the buildings of the Golden Temple. It is among the holiest sites in the region, and the army damaged several temples during the conflict. This angered many Sikhs, including two of them who served as Indira's bodyguards. On October 31, 1984, two of the Sikh bodyguards shot Indira Gandhi to death in her garden. As news spread the following day, violence erupted against Sikhs. The first round of killing happened in New Delhi, where 3,000 of them were killed. Over the next few days, an additional 20,000 were killed all over India. More than 50,000 were driven from their homes. After the riots ended, 442 people were convicted. 49 of them were sentenced to life imprisonment. The Sikhs who survived were not happy with the outcome. In some cases, it took over 30 years to sentence the offenders. And there are also claims that the Indian government helped the mobs kill the victims. On January 15, 2017, a monument to the victims called Wall of Truth was unveiled in New Delhi. Disappearance of Jonelle Matthews. Jonelle Matthews was born in Santa Barbara, California on February 19, 1972. Her mother was a teenager at the time, so Jonelle was adopted by James and Gloria Matthews, a couple in Greenlee, Colorado. They already had a daughter, but they were happy to add another child to the family. On the night of December 20th, 1984, Jonelle was singing with her middle school choir. James was at a basketball game with the other daughter. Gloria was out of town helping her sick father, so when the choir was finished, Jonelle got a ride home. She was at home alone around 8:30 p.m. when the phone rang. Jonelle took a message for her father. It's the last time anyone ever saw her alive. James arrived home at 9:30 and realized Jonelle wasn't there. He called the police. After they arrived, footprints were found in the snow near the windows. Somebody had been watching Jonelle from the outside. She was never found, despite the case drawing national interest. In 1994, Jonelle was finally declared legally dead. Her adoptive parents moved to Costa Rica a few years later. On July 23, 2019, excavators were digging to install a new pipeline. It was about 15 miles from where Jonelle used to live. They found human remains. After the DNA was tested, authorities realized they had found Jonelle. She had been killed by a gunshot to the head. The police focused on a person named Stephen Donna Pankey. He was a former resident of Greeley, and he had run for governor of Idaho several times. Although Stephen Pankey maintained his innocence, he was convicted of kidnapping and murdering Jonelle on October 31, 2022. He was sentenced to 20 years in prison. The world was a violent place in 1984. Did we miss anything important? If so, tell us about it in the comments below. If you like learning about random and terrible events from the past, then be sure to subscribe to our channel and like this video so YouTube can't ignore us. Thank you for watching Bad Things in History.